was me.
All right, we're back with D2, the Mighty Ducks, otherwise known as the Mighty Ducks 2. Can someone explain why it's called D2? Like, does it stand for Ducks 2 because, like, they were D5 in the first one? I don't know why it gets me so riled up. Anyways, where did we leave off? All right, it's 1 year after the first one, and Gordon Bombay is already hot in the minors. This guy went from Pee Wee to a 20-year absence to almost making the freaking NHL. Well, life apparently isn't that simple, especially for a Disney movie, and reality, in the form of a career-ending injury, weighs in. And rightfully so, he's stuck working at Jan's sports shop. That's right, Hans's brother, Jan, takes over the old mentor role. Don Tibbles, who represents Hendrix Hockey Apparel, asked Gordon to coach Team USA for the knockoff version of the Olympics, the Junior Goodwill Games. Which sounds a little far-fetched, until he mentions, well, if he can coach Charlie's group of Avermans and Goldbergs to a state championship,
okay, cut it.
Then by that standard, I guess he's able to coach a group of nutless monkeys to win the Stanley Cup.
A nutless monkey could do your job. Now go get drunk.
Looks like they scrapped the idea that they were supposed to defend their state title, but we do get a compensation when they run into the kids that sent Banks on a stretcher. Charlie rounds up the flock, and it looks like puberty hit these kids harder than one of Great Khali's super chops.
Uh-oh, here comes a fiery red hand.
Technically, it wouldn't be Team USA without a roster filled with more than just kids from Minneapolis. So they recruit 5 new assholes. Starting with Luis Mendoza, who plays yet another Hispanic speedster, and if you couldn't tell what his background is, just listen to his music. Next we got Dwayne Robertson, the hick from Texas. Yeah! Next we got Julie the Cat Gaffney, where I can't even think of a joke to define her character because she's obviously a better goalie than Goldberg. But due to Clear Duck's favoritism, she gets no playing time. Next we got the figure skater that was clearly a replacement for... And finally we got the second member of the Bash Brothers, and the singing voice of Max from a Goofy movie, Dean Portman, who basically sums up this movie's main question and the current state of AAU sports in general.
That guy's a teenager?
Don't you know everything's on fire?
Gonna talk to Roxanne and not feel like a fool.
Yeah, hormones.
The Ducks' skills seem to be the only consistent thing in this movie. Banks is the only talent. Fulton has a Zdeno Chara-like clap bomb. And everyone else makes you wonder why they decided to make majority of the roster from areas like Blukeville, Minnesota.
Haven't you guys been training in the off-season?
You know, I knew we forgot something.
That question surprisingly gets answered when you realize who makes up the competition, such as Trinidad and Tobago. Even Kenan Thompson from Good Burger understands the hilarity.
Is this too bad, G? Man, come here.
The best team in this tournament is Iceland. Since the tournament is a disgrace to hockey and sports in general, Bombay does his classic unorthodox method of coaching by not actually playing hockey.
Hey now people, because together we will stand.
His style kind of makes sense actually, since not even the refs seem to be existent. Now, this wouldn't be a sports flick without the borderline racist representation of another country. In this case, it's the Icelandic coach, who looks like he was up for the role of a Bond villain.
Full confidence, cocky, American. I like that.
Go! Alvoxcon, destroy it!
40,500,000 all in.
Full confidence, cocky, American. I like that.
Conflict arises when Bombay starts to care more about publicity than the actual team.
The Air Bombay loafer for kids who want to coach.
You think there's enough kids out there who want to coach?
So all that character development we had to go through the first movie gets thrown out the window. He also has this weird relationship between the team tutor and the Icelandic trainer. And it goes absolutely nowhere. It's like they filmed some scenes around Bombay's love life, but then they're like, kids don't want to see this boring crap, so they decide to focus more on the comedic side of concussions. In the first meeting with Iceland, they absolutely get manhandled, and Banks does his best Luke Skywalker impression. They even stop Fulton's slapper. After Iceland was done bending over Bombay and spanking him on both cheeks, he retaliates by becoming Herb Brooks from Miracle on Ice.
They're calling you Captain Blood.
I am preparing these kids for battle.
The team eventually runs into Russ Tyler, and he rightfully calls him out for being complete dog.
But we can teach you how to play like the real Team USA.
And he proudly shows off the shot that was responsible for hundreds of kids in the 90s breaking windows. The knuckle puck is so revolutionary that it earns him a spot on the team while Banks recovers. Because you can apparently recruit anyone off the street to represent the nation.
Hiya, coach.
By abusing and beating the team that's supposed to represent the country's top talent, they learn what it takes to beat Iceland. Meanwhile, Jan breaks into Gordon's home to give him the classic wise man talk. You gotta love the game, or something about, loving the game. You gotta love it. You're not gonna be good at hockey if you don't love the game. He does his usual, lace up the skates, have some alone time, skate around, think about hockey. What a lose. Meanwhile, he forgets that there's a game that he's got to coach, and the team's tutor is forced to take over.
What are you waiting for? The ice to freeze? Let's play!
But shows up in the last few minutes, making an unprofessional scene, and Gordon takes complete credit for the tutor's win. While doing the traditional pre-finals rager, somehow Iceland sneaks onto the ice unnoticed and Wolf proceeds to test Bombay's durability. Banks' injury heals in time for the game, and Charlie agrees that he's pretty much useless at this point and lets Banks take his spot. Which seems like a no-brainer since his only contribution to the team are comments like these.
It's nice, Coach, but we're Ducks. This stuff says Hendrix all over it.
Well, yeah, they're our sponsors, Charlie.
So what, can't we be USA Ducks? Or at least keep our own colors?
That's a great idea, Charlie. Let's disrespect the red, white, and blue and replace it with a dopey bird and surround it with purple and green. The championship game starts off like their last encounter, with them bending over and taking it right in the flying V.
Hey, be careful out there. Iceland's bigger, stronger, they're faster, they have more facial hair.
Heading into the third period, it seems like all hope is lost, until Bombay delivers this Pacino-esque speech.
You. Who are you? Fulton Reed, Stillwater, Minnesota.
Russ Tyler, South Central Los Angeles.
Charlie Conway, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Ken Rue, San Francisco, California.
Connie Moreau, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Adam Banks, Edina, Minnesota. And I'm Gordon Bombay, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Ducks fly together.
And when the wind blows hard and the sky is black,
Ducks fly together.
And when the roosters are crowing and the cows are spinning circles in the pasture,
and they proceed to give the biggest middle finger to the US flag while jamming out to We Will Rock You. They tie the game by using a trick play, somehow switching jerseys and pads with Russ and Goldberg in a matter of seconds.
Drops it back to Goldberg. Wait, it's not Goldberg. Taylor with it. Tees
brings up the puck with the knuckle puck. So the championship comes down to a shootout.
So Bombay decides to put in Julie, their best goalie, to make one single save. You think that'd be terrible coaching? Putting an ice-cold goalie in a position with the tournament on the line? Not to mention one she hasn't played a single minute in?
I know this kid's move. Triple deke, glove side.
You mean the dude pulls up halfway and slaps it glove side? You might as well put Russ back in net to make that save. And in what world is this a deke?
That's 1, 2, 3.
The movie ends with the team embracing their win while serenaded by Averman's rendition of We Are the Champions.
I made my dues. Time after time. We are the champions.
I think this is the only movie out of the franchise that doesn't have anybody getting it on. Instead, it leaves you wondering if Bombay is having some private lessons with the tutor. D2, The Mighty Ducks, or The Mighty Ducks 2, whatever you want to call it, is a guilty pleasure movie because when rewatching this, you tend to realize that they really just got away with remashing the previous movie, but on an international level. This movie is honestly a statement on how Disney can portray any country as the protagonist to the US, even if their professional league only has 4 teams and a population of 360,000. I blame the writing on the budget they blew to get cameos from athletes and celebrities.
Leos and Robitaille. Cam, Chris, and Luke. Greg Louganis, Christy Yamaguchi. Graham. I'd like you to meet Gordon Bombay.
Guys, this is the gray one!
Alley-oop.
And here are some classic goofs for the road.